Of all the things to get into the Guinness Book of World Records, I don't know that I would want to be known for the world's smallest melanoma. Thank you, Lisa. She's one of our viewers. She sent me this article, and it is fascinating. A woman named Christy in Oregon has made it into the Guinness Book of World Records for the smallest melanoma at 0.025. Do I have that correct? Inches. 0.025 inches. That is the tip, like if you were to take a very sharpened pencil and dot it on a paper. That's how small and tiny the spot is. And I know you're like me, you're wondering, well, how in the world did they find such a small spot? Because personally, I have lots of those small little spots all over me. So 2 years ago, Christy went to see her doctor for a different spot on her cheek that she was concerned about. And the doctor looked at it, said, it doesn't really look like much of anything, but we'll send it off for a biopsy. Thankfully, that turned out to be benign, regular skin thing. But while he was looking at her face, he noticed a small, tiny dot that looked suspicious. So the doctor had access to some very high-tech tools that I had to look up because I've never heard. I'm pretty sure my dermatologist does not have access to these. He looked at the tiny speck on her face through a confocal microscope. Then they did a virtual biopsy that allowed him to see down to one cell and one nucleus. Did you guys know this was possible? When he did that, he saw very clear, distinct, atypical cells that were associated with melanoma skin cancer. Now, in July of 2021, Christy did have that tiny melanoma removed. She was diagnosed with a stage 0, and she's fine now. No skin cancer, stage 0. The doctor said that she was very lucky that he just happened to see that. Isn't that how most of our skin cancers are? It's just like, it could be, maybe it is, maybe it's not. You really don't know until you have it biopsied. That's why I am under the method of when in doubt, cut it out. So my first dermatologist advised, and I am sticking to that rule. But what is a confocal microscope? I know you're curious like I am. Okay, according to the Ohio Wesleyan University, a confocal microscope uses light from a laser through the objective of a standard light microscope to excite a specimen within a narrow plane of focus. From Cherry Biotech, says that the main difference between confocal microscope and a standard fluorescent microscope is the presence of pinholes that are able to exclude photons coming from a different focal plane. A light emitted by a laser source passes through a pinhole and is directed by a mirror to the sample. Did you understand any of that? I am not a sciencey person. I am going to chat GPT and asking it to explain a confocal microscope in words a third grader can understand. Ooh, okay. It is generating its response right now. Sweet. That is a lot of words. Imagine you have a really powerful magnifying glass that can make tiny things look super big. That's kind of like a microscope. Now, a confocal microscope is a special type of microscope that uses light to help us see things in great detail. It has a special trick that makes the pictures really clear. You know how when you take a picture with a regular camera, everything in the picture is in focus, even the things that are far away? Well, a confocal microscope is different. It only focuses on one tiny part of the object at a time. Imagine you have a coloring book with lots of pages. Instead of looking at all the pages at once, you put a little window on one page and look through it. That's what the confocal microscope does. It has a special light that shines on a tiny spot of the object you want to see. Then it collects the light that bounces back from that spot and uses it to make a picture. It does this for each tiny spot, one after the other. This way, the microscope can create a really clear picture because it only looks at one spot at a time. It's like putting together puzzle pieces, but each piece is a tiny part of the object. Cool! So a confocal microscope is like a super duper magnifying glass that looks at things one tiny spot at a time to give us really clear pictures of really small things. Thank you, ChatGPT. That I understood. So that's the virtual biopsy. is using the confocal microscope to see down at that microscopic level that they usually only get from taking an actual biopsy. This was the virtual biopsy. How cool! I love learning new things. Exciting news! I just found another Guinness Book of World Records that has to do with free skin cancer screenings that just occurred that I am aware about and wanted to let you know because it's a really cool story. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and help to prevent skin cancer by subscribing and wearing sunscreen. Okay, this article was just published May 23rd, Guinness Book of World Records. La Roche-Posay, as you can see here. I'm so glad that they are on a mission to prevent skin cancer. They broke a world record by offering free screenings to the public in a special pop-up event on Melanoma Monday. I had heard about this, but I didn't realize that it was a Guinness Book World Record. They wanted to do more than simply tell their audience about the importance of sun protection to prevent skin cancer, so they brought the free screenings to the streets of New York. Look at this line. Are these people who already feel like they have a suspicious spot that they want looked at? Where did they get these people from? Did they just pop it up and people could just hop in line? I have questions. It said with a staggering total of 1,988 screenings on May 1st, 2023. They partnered with the Schwager Dermatology and they did the most skin cancer screenings in 8 hours. That's amazing. Almost 2,000 skin cancer screenings in 8 hours. Fantastic job. Look at that line. Look at that line. Okay, I'm seeing mostly women, mostly fair-skinned. And why do I point that out? Because those with darker skin tones are, if they have just as high, are at high risk for skin cancer. If they're going to get melanoma, it's going to be found in the later stages because their skin is darker. And that's like a group that isn't targeted too much for skin cancer education. Okay. To break the record, they set up a huge tent with capacity for 32 individual screening spaces, where more than 50 medical providers and volunteers from the Schwager Dermatology Group performed the test. Fantastic. It looks like they started at 9:57 a.m. Ooh, they probably were supposed to start at 10 and we're like, okay, let's go ahead and start early, which I feel like that never happens in dermatology. There was a steady flow of participants. Good. Oh, okay. People who had signed up in advance, and locals and tourists, they grabbed their chance to take part. So that's cool. You could sign up in advance or they just took people off the street. That's awesome. Now, what is this machine? What is this? Skin cancer is the abnormal growth. Okay, they're telling us what skin cancer is. But what is that machine? She's looking into it. What is that? Is that some new technology I don't know about? Okay, it took place outside L'Oreal's headquarters. We know L'Oreal just came out with a sunscreen in Hudson Yards Public Square and Gardens, a new and hip area on the west side of Manhattan. It was part of La Roche-Posay's 2023 Save Our Skin campaign. Another event, another picture, a quote. Okay, according to the American Academy of Dermatology, the main causes of skin cancer are the sun's harmful rays and the use of indoor tanning equipment. Okay, so they're looking at a little microscope. What are we looking at here? What are those orange strips of paper? What is that? Screenings followed a standard ABCDE method for screening moles and body spots. The record to beat was 963. Well, that's not very big of a record. Oh, but it was in Durham, North Carolina in 2019. Okay, North Carolina is my home state. At the Polka Dot Mama Melanoma Foundation. Why do I love that name so much? The Polka Dot Mama. I need to look them up. Okay, I have questions though about this machine. Does anybody know where was that picture of the machine? What this is? I'm assuming this right here. I'm assuming it takes a picture of your face and somehow shows melanoma spots. Did they only screen faces? That's my question, because it doesn't look like they're doing full body skin checks. I have more questions about this.